My dear friends, there is a deep truth about human connection. Many believe love grows stronger by holding tighter, by constantly being available, by never letting go. But sometimes the opposite is true. It is not attachment that keeps relationships alive, it is balance, self-respect, and the power of healthy detachment. When a woman knows her worth, when she understands that her happiness is not dependent on someone else's approval, she becomes radiant. This radiance is not arrogance, it is dignity, and dignity is magnetic. Think about it: when we cling, we create fear, anxiety, and dependency. But when we detach with grace, we create space for respect, admiration, and true love to grow. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means valuing yourself so deeply that you never beg for validation. A woman who detaches doesn't chase, she attracts. She doesn't demand attention, her energy commands it. She doesn't hold on in desperation, she lets go with faith. And this calm confidence is something men can't resist. So, if you ever feel like you are losing yourself trying to hold on to someone, pause and remember, you are enough. Stand tall, let go of fear, and let your worth shine. Detachment is not about pushing people away. It's about pulling your true self forward. And when you do, respect follows, love deepens, and relationships thrive. Detachment is dignity, and it is often misunderstood in today's world. Many assume detachment means not caring, withdrawing, or becoming cold, but that is far from the truth. Detachment is a quiet declaration of self-worth an inner understanding that one's happiness is not entirely dependent on another person's behavior, moods, or decisions. When a woman embraces this form of detachment, she is not shutting doors, she is opening the right ones. She is not rejecting love, she is protecting her dignity. The beauty of this dignity lies in the way it commands respect without demanding it. People naturally admire someone who knows when to give, when to hold, and when to step back. It reflects strength of character, and that strength is deeply magnetic. Think of it this way: when a person clings too tightly to another, what they are really saying is, I am incomplete without you. While that might sound romantic on the surface, in reality, it creates a sense of imbalance. The other person begins to feel the weight of unrealistic expectations, as if they are responsible for someone else's joy every moment of the day. Love then becomes less about choice and more about obligation, and obligations often breed resentment. Dignity, on the other hand, says, I love you, I value you, but I am complete even if you are not here every moment. This independence gives love room to breathe and relationship space to grow. When a woman carries herself with dignity through detachment, she becomes someone others cannot easily manipulate. She no longer reacts out of fear, nor does she beg for attention. Instead, she learns to respond with calm and grace. This balance keeps her from being reduced to someone's convenience. Men, in particular, feel drawn toward this balance because it communicates quiet confidence. A woman who does not need constant approval shines differently. She becomes like a lighthouse, steady, radiant and unshaken by the waves around her. Dignity also changes the energy of interactions. Conversations are no longer about desperation, but about mutual respect. Time spent together feels lighter because neither person is clinging for validation. The relationship becomes healthier not because of force, but because of freedom. Imagine two birds flying together. If one bird constantly holds onto the other, both fall. But when they fly side by side, respecting each other's wings, they rise higher. That is what dignity through detachment looks like in love. It is not suffocating, it is liberating. Furthermore, detachment teaches a woman the importance of emotional discipline. She understands that not every disagreement requires her to lose her composure. Not every silence needs to be filled with anxious words. Not every distance needs to be closed by force. By standing firmly in her dignity, she communicates, I am not afraid of space. I am not afraid of silence, because I know my worth does not diminish in either. That steadiness is powerful, and it naturally earns respect. Ultimately, dignity through detachment is not just about relationships with others, but about the relationship a woman has with herself. It is a gentle reminder that her identity is not defined by how much someone else gives her attention, affection, or approval. Instead, it is defined by her values, her confidence, and her ability to hold herself with grace even when situations are uncertain. And when this self-respect shines through her actions, it becomes something men cannot resist, not because she is trying to impress, but because dignity always speaks louder than desperation. Clinging creates fear, and this truth is often overlooked in relationships. At first, constant closeness and the need to always be around each other may seem like love, but beneath the surface, it carries a different energy. When someone clings, what they are really expressing is a deep insecurity, the fear of losing the other person. This fear, rather than building love, weakens it. It starts to place invisible chains around the relationship, chains that tighten with time and cause suffocation. Love by nature is meant to be free, flowing, gentle, and joyful. But when clinging enters, it transforms love into something heavy, filled with expectations and pressures that slowly drain the life out of it. When a woman clings to a man, always seeking his reassurance, always demanding his presence, she unknowingly pushes him away. The more she clings, the more he feels trapped. Not because he does not love her, but because he begins to associate the relationship with pressure rather than peace. People are naturally drawn to where they feel free, not where they feel bound. Clinging creates an atmosphere where both partners start fearing different things. One fears losing the relationship, and the other fears losing their individuality. And when fear dominates, love slowly fades. Fear also manifests in behavior. Clinging often leads to constant checking, overthinking, and worrying about where the other person is, what they are doing, or who they are talking to. Instead of trust, suspicion grows. Instead of comfort, anxiety takes over. This cycle doesn't just affect one person, it burdens both. The partner who clings becomes restless, and the one who is clung to feels pressured, even suffocated. The beauty of the relationship is lost, replaced by tension that neither wanted in the first place. Another effect of clinging is that it creates dependency, which strips away dignity. When one person makes another the sole source of their happiness, they place themselves in a vulnerable position. They give away their power and make their emotional state entirely dependent on someone else's actions. This kind of dependency is not attractive. Instead, it makes the relationship feel like a burden. True love is not about leaning so heavily on another that you cannot stand without them. It is about standing tall together, each holding their own strength, while still choosing to support one another. What is ironic is that the very thing clinging tries to prevent, losing someone, becomes more likely to happen because of it. A man may be deeply in love with a woman, but if he feels her clinging is rooted in insecurity and constant fear, he may begin to withdraw, not because he stopped loving, but because love cannot breathe in an atmosphere of fear. The more tightly she holds on, the more he feels the need to create distance. Just like holding sand in your palm, the tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. Clinging also steals away peace of mind. For the one clinging, every little delay in response, every moment of silence feels like a threat. Instead of enjoying the relationship, they live in constant anxiety. For the one being clung to, every interaction starts to feel like an obligation. Love is no longer associated with joy. It becomes associated with stress. And relationships that create stress more than comfort rarely last in their pure form. The antidote to clinging is trust and inner security. When a woman realizes that her worth is not diminished by distance, by time apart, or by moments of silence, she no longer clings. She begins to understand that love is not measured by constant proximity, but by deep respect and trust. A secure heart does not fear losing. It knows that what is meant will stay. And this quiet security becomes far more attractive than the loud noise of fear. Space invites respect. And this is one of the most essential truths in any relationship. When two people love each other, their natural instinct is to spend time together, to share experiences, and to be close. Yet, when closeness is overdone and space is denied, something begins to feel heavy. Without space, there is no room for individuality, no room for self-growth, and no room for appreciation. Space is not distance, it is the healthy breathing ground of love. It is in this space that respect begins to blossom. Because when someone allows you to have your own life, your own choices, and your own independence, you naturally admire them more. When a woman creates space in a relationship, she is not pushing a man away. She is showing that she trusts him and values herself. By not needing to be around him every moment, she communicates that her world is full and complete, and his presence adds joy rather than fills a void. This subtle message is powerful. It tells him, I am with you by choice, not by desperation. And when love is built on choice rather than need, respect flows naturally. A man respects a woman who gives him space, not because she is indifferent, but because she shows emotional maturity and self-confidence. Think of a beautiful garden. If you plant flowers too close together, they suffocate each other and cannot grow. But when each flower has enough space, they bloom fully, and the whole garden looks more vibrant. In the same way, when two people give each other the space to breathe, to think, and to be themselves, they can bring their best selves to the relationship. Without space, even the most loving relationship can feel suffocating. With space, it becomes a nurturing ground where both partners flourish. Space also prevents familiarity from turning into contempt. When two people are constantly together without pause, even small habits can become irritating. But when there is space, time apart renews appreciation. A man who spends time on his own goals, work, or friendships returns to the relationship with a fresh sense of admiration for the woman who allowed him that freedom. He sees her as a partner who trusts, not as someone who controls. This trust strengthens his respect for her and deepens his love. Moreover, space allows individuality to remain intact in healthy love. For two people walk side by side without losing themselves. They support each other's dreams and encourage each other's independence. A woman who nurtures her own passions, maintains her friendships, and continues to grow as a person, not only enriches her own life, but also enriches the relationship. Her independence makes her more admirable because it shows that her love is a gift, not an obligation. Respect is born when love does not demand the sacrifice of self-identity. Another beauty of space is that it teaches patience and deepens connection. Time apart gives moments together more value. A conversation after a day of individual experiences feels richer, more meaningful. Silence in absence teaches both partners to rely on trust instead of constant reassurance. Respect grows in this silence because it shows that the bond does not need constant noise to survive. It is strong enough to endure stillness. In the end, space is not emptiness, it is presence in a different form. It is the unseen hand that holds respect in place. When a woman allows space in her relationship, she silently teaches the man that love is not about control, but about freedom. And in that freedom, he does not drift away, he draws closer, because he respects her for giving what so many fail to give, the dignity of space. Self-worth is magnetic, and it is one of the most powerful qualities a woman can carry. When a woman knows her value, she doesn't have to beg for love, chase after attention, or lower her standards just to keep someone by her side. She radiates a natural energy that speaks louder than words, an inner confidence that silently tells the world, I am enough as I am. This quiet assurance draws people toward her, not because she is trying to impress them, but because people are naturally attracted to strength, clarity, and authenticity. Many times, relationships become unbalanced because one person doubts their worth. This insecurity makes them overcompensate, overgiving, over-explaining, or over-adjusting just to please the other. Instead of creating closeness, this actually creates distance. Why? Because desperation repels while confidence attracts. When a woman stands rooted in her self-worth, she doesn't need to constantly prove her value. She doesn't need validation to remind her of her importance. And this independence of spirit becomes irresistible. Men, in particular, respect women who know who they are and what they bring to the table. Self-worth is not arrogance. It doesn't mean looking down on others or pretending to be perfect. Rather, it means embracing one's imperfections without shame. It means knowing that flaws do not erase value. A woman with self-worth is humble yet firm, gentle yet strong, compassionate yet uncompromising on her dignity. This balance makes her deeply magnetic because she shows the world that she can be kind without being weak, giving without being taken for granted, and loving without losing herself. Consider this. When someone values themselves, they set clear boundaries. They do not allow others to misuse their kindness or take advantage of their presence. Boundaries are not walls to keep love out. They are gates that ensure only respect comes in. A woman who sets these boundaries communicates a strong message. I respect myself enough not to allow disrespect. This strength attracts admiration because people recognize that she is not afraid of walking away from what doesn't honor her. And ironically, this makes others want to hold on to her even more. Self-worth also fuels independence. A woman who loves herself invests in her growth, her passions, and her dreams. She doesn't sit and wait for someone else to complete her life. Instead, she is already complete. And her partner becomes an addition to her joy, not the source of it. This wholeness is magnetic because people feel uplifted around those who are secure in themselves. A man feels proud to stand beside a woman who is already shining in her own light, not someone who is dim until he validates her. Another powerful aspect of self-worth is the way it transforms energy in relationships. When a woman believes in her value, she no longer engages in unnecessary arguments to prove herself. She doesn't chase after people who walk away, nor does she tolerate constant disrespect. Instead, she chooses peace over chaos, quality over quantity, and love over fear. This calm, composed presence is magnetic because it shows maturity, strength, and grace. Even in difficult times, self-worth provides stability. A woman who knows her value doesn't crumble completely when rejected or ignored. She may feel pain, but she does not let it define her. She rises, reminding herself that her worth is not diminished just because someone else failed to see it. And this resilience, this ability to stand tall in storms, is incredibly attractive. Men respect women who refuse to be broken by circumstances because it shows inner strength and dignity. At its core, self-worth creates an invisible aura around a woman. It is not something that can be faked or forced. It shines naturally through her choices, her boundaries, her independence, and her calm confidence. This aura cannot be ignored because it speaks to the deepest human instinct. We are all drawn to those who respect themselves. And that is why self-worth, more than anything else, is magnetic. Confidence attracts, and it does so in a way that feels almost effortless. When a woman carries herself with confidence, she doesn't need to announce it with loud words or dramatic actions. It's in the way she walks, the way she speaks, the way she holds her ground even in silence. Confidence is not about showing superiority, it is about showing certainty. It is the calm assurance that says, I know who I am, I know what I want, and I don't fear being without what does not serve me. That kind of energy pulls people in because it communicates strength without aggression and grace without weakness. Men, in particular, are drawn to confident women not because of physical appearances alone, but because confidence has a power that goes deeper. A confident woman doesn't try too hard to be liked, and that very quality makes her more likable. She doesn't chase, yet people find themselves chasing her. She doesn't demand attention, yet eyes naturally turn when she enters a room. Why? Because confidence radiates like light. It brightens everything around it without needing to prove its glow. A woman's confidence is also seen in her choices. She knows her standards and refuses to compromise them for temporary comfort. She doesn't settle for less than respect, and she doesn't allow mistreatment just to hold on to a relationship. This firmness is attractive because it shows that her value is not negotiable. A man may admire beauty, but he respects confidence because it tells him she is not afraid to walk away if she is not honored. This subtle strength makes her irresistible, not through force, but through presence. Confidence also creates peace in relationships. A woman who is secure in herself does not need constant reassurance or validation. She doesn't overthink every word, every silence, or every small change in mood. Instead, she trusts herself and trusts the flow of the relationship. This calm energy makes her a source of stability rather than anxiety. A man feels more comfortable and safe around her because her confidence communicates, I am with you because I choose to be, not because I need to be. That sense of choice creates respect, and respect deepens love. Another reason confidence attracts is because it inspires admiration. When a woman invests in herself, her passions, her career, her health, her learning, she becomes more than just a partner, she becomes an inspiration. Men admire women who strive for growth, who stand tall in their goals, and who do not shrink themselves to make others feel comfortable. Her confidence in her abilities and dreams sends a powerful message. She is not waiting for life to happen, she is creating it. That spark of independence and determination is incredibly magnetic. Confidence also changes how a woman handles challenges. Instead of breaking down at every obstacle, she faces situations with courage. She may feel fear, but she doesn't allow it to paralyze her. She takes decisions with clarity, accepts failures as lessons, and keeps moving forward. This resilience is attractive because it shows strength of character. Men respect women who can stand beside them as equals, who do not collapse at the first sign of difficulty, but rise stronger each time. Most importantly, confidence allows authenticity. A woman who is confident does not wear masks to please others. She speaks her truth with kindness. She expresses her feelings without fear. And she allows her real self to be seen. People are drawn to authenticity because it is rare. In a world full of pretenses, a confident woman's honesty feels refreshing. She doesn't need to imitate anyone else because her confidence tells her that she is already enough. Confidence is not arrogance and it is not pride. It is quiet strength, graceful assurance, and in an inner light that doesn't dim for anyone. This light is what makes people notice, admire, and respect her without her needing to force anything. And that is why confidence doesn't just attract, it captivates. Love is not dependency. Though many people confuse the two, dependency makes one person the center of another's world, the single source of happiness, peace, and meaning. Love, on the other hand, is a partnership between two complete individuals who choose to walk together, not because they cannot survive alone, but because life feels richer in each other's company. When a woman understands this difference, she protects herself from the dangers of attachment that suffocates and instead nurtures a bond that allows both partners to flourish. Dependency often comes from fear, fear of being alone, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. It makes someone cling to the other person, believing that without them, they cannot function or find joy. But such dependency does not strengthen love, it weakens it. It shifts the relationship from mutual respect to obligation. The dependent partner expects constant reassurance, while the other feels pressured to carry the weight of someone else's emotional stability. Over time, love that should have been light and freeing becomes heavy and exhausting. True love does not demand that a woman loses herself for the sake of a man. It does not require her to give up her dreams, her individuality, or her independence. On the contrary, real love celebrates individuality. A man may deeply admire a woman who can stand on her own, who has her own vision, and who is not afraid to live fully, whether he is beside her or not. This independence is what makes love healthier because it is rooted in choice, not need. To say, "I choose you," holds more value than "I need you," because choice comes from strength, while need comes from fear. When a woman avoids dependency, she creates space for respect. A man respects a woman who does not rely on him for her identity, who does not crumble every time life gets tough, and who does not lose herself trying to please him. She may lean on him for support in times of difficulty. That is natural. But she does not make him the only pillar holding her life together. This balance is attractive because it shows resilience and maturity. Men are drawn to women who can stand tall on their own, yet gracefully accept companionship, because such women do not burden, but uplift. Dependency also often leads to compromise of dignity. When someone feels they cannot survive without another, they start tolerating mistreatment, disrespect, or neglect just to keep the relationship intact. But love that survives at the cost of dignity is not love. It is bondage. A woman who knows this refuses to make dependency her foundation. She understands that it is better to stand alone with self-respect than to stay tied to someone with constant fear of abandonment. This quiet strength makes her love even more valuable because it comes without desperation. Another beautiful truth is that love without dependency creates deeper intimacy. When two people are not clinging to each other for survival, they can actually enjoy the bond more freely. Their time together feels like a gift, not an obligation. Their conversations are lighter, their silence is more peaceful, and their support for one another more genuine. Dependency says, I cannot live without you. Love says, I can live without you, but I choose to live with you. That choice is what makes love sacred, respectful, and lasting. Love in its purest form is about sharing, not possessing. It is about lifting each other up, not pulling each other down with fear. It is about creating a bond where both individuals continue to grow without losing themselves in the process. And when a woman embodies this truth, that love is not dependency, she not only protects her dignity, but also becomes a source of admiration, respect, and lasting attraction. Letting go builds trust. And trust is the strongest foundation any relationship can stand on. Often, people believe that holding on tightly is what keeps love alive, but the truth is the opposite. When someone tries to control every detail, monitor every movement, and demand constant reassurance, the relationship becomes suffocating. But when a woman learns the art of letting go, not in the sense of abandonment, but in the sense of trust, she creates a space where love can grow naturally. Letting go does not mean she cares less, it means she trusts more. Trust cannot exist where control rules. Imagine a bird in your hand. If you squeeze it too tightly, you harm it. But if you open your palm and allow it to breathe, it will often choose to stay. The same is true in relationships. A man feels more connected to a woman who lets go with confidence than to one who clings with fear. When she allows him freedom, she silently communicates, I trust you to honor this bond without me having to control you. That trust is powerful because it shows faith in both him and in the relationship. Letting go also requires emotional maturity. It means not overreacting to every silence, not assuming the worst when there is distance, and not demanding explanations for every small delay. It is the ability to give space without insecurity, to allow freedom without suspicion. This maturity makes a woman deeply admirable because it shows that her love is built on strength rather than fear. A man cannot help but respect a woman who gives trust instead of chains. When a woman practices letting go, she also shows that her happiness is not entirely dependent on another person's constant presence. She continues to invest in her own growth, her own passions, and her own life. This independence strengthens trust because it tells her partner, I am whole on my own, and I trust you to walk with me, not carry me. In such a relationship, both individuals feel free, respected, and valued. There is no fear of losing identity, and that security builds deeper love. Letting go also helps during conflicts. Instead of holding grudges, clinging to past mistakes, or replaying old arguments, a woman who knows how to let go chooses forgiveness and forward movement. She does not let yesterday's pain poison today's love. By letting go of bitterness, she creates trust that the relationship is a safe place where mistakes can be admitted, learned from, and overcome. This kind of trust is rare, and it makes her presence comforting rather than draining. Another dimension of letting go is faith in timing. Not every relationship moves at the same pace, and not every man expresses love in the same way. By letting go of rigid expectations and trusting the natural flow, a woman shows patience and grace. She trusts that if the bond is real, it will stand the test of time without constant pushing. This relaxed energy makes the relationship more enjoyable, and it deepens respect because her partner sees that she is not driven by desperation but by calm faith. In essence, letting go is not weakness, it is the highest form of strength. It says, I do not need to control you to keep you. I trust your character, I trust our love, and I trust myself. This kind of trust is irresistible because it creates peace instead of pressure, love instead of fear, and stability instead of chaos. Men are naturally drawn to women who understand this truth because in their presence, they feel both respected and free. Detachment prevents manipulation. And this truth is one of the most empowering lessons a woman can embrace. In relationships, manipulation often arises when one person senses the other is too dependent, too afraid to walk away, or too emotionally entangled to make clear decisions. The manipulator thrives on control, using fear, guilt, or emotional pressure to bend the other person to their will. But when a woman practices healthy detachment, she becomes unshakable. She shows that her emotions may be deep, but they are not blind. Her love may be strong, but it is not desperate. This makes her immune to control because she is rooted in self-respect. Manipulation feeds on insecurity. If a woman constantly fears losing someone, she is more likely to tolerate disrespect, excuses, or even dishonesty just to avoid conflict or abandonment. Over time, this creates a dangerous imbalance where she is giving more and receiving less, while her dignity is slowly eroded. In the detachment cuts this cycle by reminding her that her happiness does not hinge on another person's behavior. She can care deeply, but she also knows when to step back. This inner strength makes it impossible for anyone to use guilt or emotional games to control her. When a woman practices detachment, she is not cold, she is clear. She knows her boundaries and honors them. If a man tries to test those limits, she doesn't lose her temper, nor does she collapse into submission. She simply stands firm with quiet confidence. This composure is powerful because manipulators thrive on emotional reactions. When they don't get it, they lose their power. A woman who detaches in this way shows that her love is a choice, not a chain. And that respect is the only language she accepts. Detachment also strengthens discernment. Without the fog of desperation, she can see situations for what they truly are, not what she wishes them to be. She can recognize red flags without making excuses for them. She can sense when someone is trying to play with her emotions and stop it before it takes root. This clarity is a shield that guards her heart while still allowing her to love openly. She is not shutting herself off from connection, but she is wise enough not to let anyone misuse it. Another beautiful aspect of detachment is the confidence it brings. A woman who is detached knows she will be fine with or without someone's approval. She does not beg for attention, nor does she tolerate mind games. She values honesty and transparency. And because she lives by these values, she expects the same in return. When someone sees they cannot manipulate her, they are left with only two options: treat her with respect or leave. Either way, she wins because she has preserved her dignity. Manipulation often thrives in relationships where one partner fears abandonment. But detachment replaces fear with strength. It sends a clear message: I am here because I want to be, not because I am afraid to be alone. This removes the manipulator's leverage completely. Instead of being trapped, she is free. Instead of being controlled, she is respected. Ultimately, detachment does not kill love. It purifies it. It ensures that what remains is genuine, not forced. It prevents toxic dynamics from taking root and keeps the relationship balanced. And when a woman embodies this truth, she becomes someone who cannot be toyed with, someone who cannot be diminished, and someone whose presence commands both love and respect.